Hey guys, here's a quick video tutorial that I said I'd put together on how to scale armor components for your body type. It's pretty much free to do. The software is free to use. The only thing you'll really have to pay for is some of the materials to measure your body, but even then that shouldn't be more than a few dollars. So let's get started. What you're going to need for this to work is two pieces of software. You're going to need Microsoft Paint, and you're going to need FlashPrint. FlashPrint is a proprietary software that's developed by a company called FlashForge. They're the company that makes my 3D printer, but their 3D software is actually really useful. It's completely free and it's very intuitive, and this is the method that I use for scaling. So we'll come back to the software in a second, but let's take a look at the materials that you're going to need. I gotta get the cat out of here. Get out of here. So what you're going to need, ideally, is a ruler that really you want to get either a meter stick or a yardstick. This one goes up to 18 inches, but you're going to need one that goes for anything other than a helmet more than 12 inches. But for a helmet, 3 rulers would be fine. So I've got 2 rulers, 1, 2, and I don't have a third ruler, but you can use really any relatively flat surface that's also approximately 12 inches. So this is just an envelope that I had, and I'm going to show you what we do with these in the next step. Okay, so what you want to do essentially is take 2 of your rulers and join them together at a right angle at the very edge. So you can do this using epoxy, glue. I did this really quickly and poorly, as you can see, with just some masking tape, but you just want to make sure that it's secure and that it's flush, so that when these 2 angles meet together, it's a 90-degree angle. The more flush this is, the more accurate your results are going to be for the scaling. Essentially, if you haven't figured it out, what this is a caliper. So if you don't have rulers handy, but you do have a caliper, or you have another method of getting measurements, you can go ahead and do that, but this is the easiest way that I've found. Now we're going to use this plushie to demonstrate your head size. First things first, you want to get a measurement of the head from side to side. So taking this here, what you want to do is line up the ruler to the very edge of the head, and then take your second straight edge and kind of line it up against the top ruler and get as much accurate as you can get with the measurement on top, and then kind of hone it in. So let's say hypothetically his head is 7.5 inches, which it is. That's going to be the width as if it was 2 scale 1 to 1, as tight as it gets. Then you have to remember that you probably want a little bit more room in your head when you wear the helmet, and we're going to add a little bit of space to compensate for that. So let's say 7.5. Now when this is your head, you can move the caliper up and down to see how tight it's going to be, and you can adjust accordingly until you get the fit that you're looking for. Some people prefer it really loose, so let's just say if it's 8, that's going to be way more than enough space to fit this guy. So then you would write that down on a piece of notebook paper and say head measurement side to side 8 inches. You want to do the same thing and get the measurement next on your head from forward to back. And then you do the same caliper method, bring the caliper in, get your measurement, and we'll say this time, and it's going to be off frame, but we'll say this time it's 5.5. Once you write all those measurements down, we can start the next step of the process. So you're going to measure your head from side to side, from front to back, as well as up and down. And that'll give you 3 discrete measurements for the 3 different, ratios of your head, I guess. The word is escaping me. Once you have those measurements down, we're ready to move on to the next step, which is working with the software. So once you've got all the measurements of your head down, the next thing you're going to need to do is convert the inches to millimeters. Or centimeters, whatever metric you're using to measure your head. It needs to be converted to millimeters because that's what the software uses. So we'll say one of our measurements was, hypothetically, let's say our side-to-side measurement was 6.5 inches. We would write 6.5 inches to millimeters. We're going to write that in. It's going to give us our measurement. So 6.5 inches here is 165 millimeters. What you're going to need to do with this number next is write that down. So wherever you need to write it down, remember, just have it handy so we can access it for the next step. Next, you're going to open up Microsoft Paint, and then you're going to use the word select tool go ahead and paint and make a small rectangular thin section like this, and write in, for example, if this was our side to side measurement, we would write head side to side measurement. And we're going to save this file. We'll save it to our desktop and name this head side to side measurement. Now that's good to go. So that's going to come into play when we start using the software for the actual scaling. You're going to download FlashPrint. Now once FlashPrint is downloaded, make sure you go to Tools, and then you go to, actually, which section was it? I need to remember. Yeah, so actually you'd go under Print, go to Machine Type, and select FlashForge Guider 2. The reason you're going to select FlashForge Guider 2 is because it's going to give you the largest bed surface to work with. Really, you can use any of those drop downs, but this has the biggest print bed and it'll allow us to work with helmets easier. But ultimately it doesn't matter. For the sake of things being a little bit easier, we're going to go with Guider 2. Next, you're going to load in that file that I just saved. So our head side to side measurement, remember how we saved that into our desktop? We're going to go to Load, and we're going to find that file. So it was called head side to side. And there it is. We're going to click Open. Now this menu will populate, and it'll give us a few options. So it's giving us our base thickness, maximum thickness, width, depth. To be honest, that stuff doesn't matter. What you need to focus on is the width, mostly. And then we're going to plug in that number that we originally had for our head measurement side to side. So our head side to side was 6.5 inches. That's 165 millimeters. And then for our load option, for our width, we're going to type in 165 millimeters and then hit OK. What that's going to do is it's going to populate a 3D image that is exactly 6.5 inches. And what we're going to do is use this 3D model that it just generated as sort of a guide rod. If you click move on the side, it'll let you move this around. And we're going to use this effectively to measure our helmet. So we've got that. Next, we're going to load in any other measurements you have. So you would measure your head from back to front. Let's say that was 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches to millimeters. 139. Same process. You're going to go into FlashPrint, or actually first you're going to go into Paint. We can get rid of this. We're going to type in head front to back measurement. We're going to save this. Head front to back measurement. Save. We're going to remember that it was 139 millimeters this time. And then we're going to go into FlashPrint, hit load, then do head. We're going to search for that head front to back measurement. There it is. We're going to hit open. This time we're going to refer back to our measurement. So 5.5 inches, 139 millimeters. We're going to type in 139 millimeters. 139 millimeters. Okay, there we go. It's being a little problematic. So there's our front to back measurement. What you want to do to get this oriented properly, we're going to go to the rotate tool on the left. And then we're going to rotate on the Z-axis. Go back to move. Now here you go. This is essentially your head measurement front to back, side to side. So front to back, side to side. That's what we're going to use to help guide and model our helmet once we load it in. So once you got this measurement, there would be one more measurement that you would do, which is your head from top to bottom. I'm going to skip that one for now just to demonstrate because I'm pretty sure you guys got the process by now. We're going to load our helmet in, our helmet file. So whatever STL file that you find or OBJ, FlashPrint can handle it. So we're going to find, let's see, full helmet. I believe that's our Master Chief helmet. It's going to load it in. Takes a second, but it'll get there. It's going to say model is off the platform. Do you want to put it on the platform? Hit yes. And as you can see, it's a pretty big file. So there's our helmet. Now, this box that it's in, this is actually the print bed that the software uses to kind of give you an idea of how big the printer is going to be. You don't really need to use this box so we can see things better. We can just move this out. So we're going to hit the move tool and move the helmet out, and then move our measurement bars out as well. So there you go. This is what's going to be your reference point for measuring this helmet. So that is the measurement of your head. That's how big this helmet's going to be in relation to your head. So what you can do next is hit scale, the scale tool, grab the helmet, click and pinch, and then you can make it larger or smaller as you need to fit your scale. And then you can move it around. You can move these pieces around. The move tool does also have incremental buttons. So for the Z axis, for example, if you want to move this up to kind of gauge how it's going to look, if you can see, the more I click, the more this bar is going up. And what that's essentially doing is it's allowing you to put those bars inside the helmet to see how your head is going to fit. Very, very easy to do. Now let's say, for example, your front to back measurement is great and your side to side isn't fitting, and you can't uniform scale this, make this all scale in one piece to fit you. It also lets you allow you to scale the helmet non-uniform. So go to the scale tool on the right, or on the left, I'm sorry. Unclick uniform scaling. Select your helmet. Make sure you click the helmet, otherwise it's gonna, choose a different file that it's scaling. And it'll let you, for example, let's say you want to stretch the helmet out a little bit side to side to make it fit you a little bit better. The more you click this, the more it's going to adjust the helmet from side to side. And then vice versa. If you want to make it a little bit taller to fit your head, click on the Y tool, the Y scaling, and it's going to let you scale your helmet on the Y axis. See how it's getting longer? You can essentially use the scaling feature on the left to modify the helmet size as incrementally and as fine-tuned as you need it. You can move these pieces around. Oop, I accidentally made that one too small. Let me undo that. But you can move these pieces around inside, and it'll let you fine-tune your measurements to your head. It takes a little bit of playing around with the different tools to kind of get a feel for how to move the objects around. But once you get the hang of it, it's very, very intuitive. For example, here is a Noble 6 helmet that I was working on, and you can see I've got my 3 measurements. I've got my side to side, my up and down, and my top to bottom all inside this helmet, and this is fit exactly to my head. In fact, let me go grab it for you and I'll show you. So here's the helmet. Sorry, I had to go grab that. This is the helmet. It's covered in some fiberglass resin right now because I wanted to get rid of the layer lines. And I'm not sure why I grabbed it because I can't put this on right now with the resin on. But this is the same helmet, and it fit me exactly as I wanted. It's a little bit snug, but I like my helmets that way. But this will allow you to get your helmet as loose or as tight as you want. Once you've done that, once you've got everything scaled properly, you can delete the support structures, and you're left with your helmet. And then all you have to do is hit File, Save As, and it'll let you export it as an STL file or an OBJ file. And then you can use this on any other software, Cura, whatever you want to do. It's going to let you export it, and you can print it from there. You can also add supports. The software does a great job at adding its supports. I'm not going to go into that, but you can play around with the software if you want. The main thing I wanted to show you is how to scale it. So that's been the tutorial. Once you get those bars in, it's going to let you scale it and fine-tune it as you need. I'm doing the same thing with this helmet as well. I got it scaled up last night. It's printing right now, and I'll show you guys how that turned out after it's fully completed. But yeah, that's my process for scaling the helmets. Let me know your feedback. If I did a bad job at explaining it, if you need more clarification, I can go into it as well. But hopefully that helps out some of you guys who have been finding an alternative way to measure helmets. And this can also be used for any other piece of component as well, your chest piece, arm, other armor pieces, shoulder, bicep, whatever you got to do. So yep, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.